Hello, this is what I sent all of the ladies for the January mystery envelope project. So these are all from Life's a Hoot, and I wanted to make sure this ended up being folded so it would fit in the envelope, but I wanted to make sure that they had something that was a full 12 inches. On my rules, I don't say anything about what they can add or not add or any papers, so all of that is fair game. But I want them to create a perfect 10. So they can earn points if they use like a winter theme project, gold thread, and 1 point for each embellishment that they add to their project. But then if they want to do more embellishments, then they need to show a technique because that's minus 1 point. And then for any additional paper that they add other than black and white, then that's also minus 1 point. And I did that not as a punishment, but just I know for myself, if I have my gold thread here to add, then I'm going to get 2 points for that. And if I do the winter theme already at 5 points, that means that I can only do 5 embellishments. And I definitely want to do more than that. So let's see where we're going from here. I'm excited to see what the other girls do too. Originally, I was going to start with a white piece for my background, and then I realized that if I added a color piece of cardstock, it was minus 1 point, which would give me one more embellishment. So I grabbed the flamingo cardstock, and then it was funny. I thought I was going to go in one direction with this layout, and then when I sat down to actually create it, I felt stymied. I didn't have any ideas. So I looked through the Make It From Your Heart Volume 5, and I'm going to use pattern 13 here. And I'm kind of dry fitting, getting an idea of those triangles. And on that pattern 13, if you have that book, I'm only doing the left-hand side page. And again, for me, it used to be sketches or layouts I had to do exactly as they had them. And now I use them to inspire my own direction and my own creativity. And that just works for me. So hopefully you have figured out what works for you in scrapbooking, but I encourage you to watch other people's videos and see what they do, and especially like these challenges where we're all using the same starting papers. What do we do? How are we going to create a layout? So here I cut those circles and the purple into 4x4 squares, and then cut that square in half so that I can have those two triangles poking out just like in the layout sample. And then I'm taking this little piece of, I guess they're chevron shapes, and I'm going to try to do some layering behind the photos. If you haven't watched my channel before, it's something that I struggle with. I feel the more I do, the better I'm getting at it, but I still am not smooth. I go and watch other people's videos, and I try to learn and glean from them what they do. She Shed Scrapper is one that I like, and she just seems to be able to do layouts or layers really easily. So I kind of have a direction now of where I'm going. I'm excited about this. I'm going to grab some stencils because I realized I went ahead and wrote down kind of where I was at for points, and I realized I needed to do some techniques. So now I'm going ahead and gathering my embellishments that I plan to use, because each of these things is 1 point. Using the gold thread in the layout is 2 points. And I will tell you that Kim Ferguson, if you haven't watched her layout yet, she misunderstood the directions, and so she was going for high score and didn't get why you would want to do anything with negative points. So we're laughing about it today. We're on Zoom, and her video is already done. She's not going to go back and correct it, but she got a high score of 46 points. And I don't know about you, but on a project, that's a lot of score when you can only gain points through stamp sets, gold thread, winter theme, and for each embellishment. So I'm excited to see what she did. And 46. So I'm going to encourage you, go over and see if you can give her suggestions of how she can diminish her score by 36. Like if she could add cardstock. So make a comment on her video of how she can reduce her score. But we're having a lot of laughs about it. So like I said, I knew I needed to teach some techniques so that I could add more embellishments, because for every technique that I show or share, I lose a point. So on my papers that are there on the left, I inked the edges with the brush technique. And then later on, I'm going to ink edges doing direct to the ink pad. So I counted that as 2 different techniques. So I have -2 points for that. The stencil is a -point. So I'm also doing the 2 different colors. I have the flamingo and the wisteria that I did for my butterflies. And I didn't make you watch me inking all of those in. And then I do gain a point for each stamp set that I use. So I am only using 1 stamp set, and that is the Life's a Hoot card making stamp. And I just absolutely love this stamp set. I think it's going to be great for some background noise and things, and it's fun for adding texture to different things. Like here on that glacier cardstock to the left, I just added those stars, and I'll actually emulate those stars later on with some thread. But I keep adding notes on here as far as that I did the edge distressing both with the brush and direct to paper, or direct to the pad. And here is where I'm starting to figure out my layering behind my photos. And this is where you can stretch your paper. And I didn't want to add too much paper to it. If I needed to, I could add some cardstock in that. But I thought I sent a fair amount of paper with the envelope, so I'm using that strip that I sent, and I'm going to kind of make it look like it's behind these photos. And then I realized that if it's below the photo's edge, then you'll see that it doesn't go all the way across, so I'm sneaking that up in. I do a lot of assembly and unassembly when I'm trying to figure out layers, but in the end I really like it. I wanted to keep this in here for you though, because if you're someone that struggles with some aspect, whether it's layering, whether it's stamping, whether it's stencils, any of that, whether it's a mixed media thing, just do it. It's paper. It's not, a brand new car. It's not super expensive. Yeah, we don't want to waste paper, but at the same time, you got to be able to practice to get better at things. So that's what I will encourage you today to do. And here again, I'm realizing that if I have that overlapping to the right too much, then you're going to see that it doesn't go all the way behind. So I need to sneak that in behind my circle paper there. And then I was having trouble with putting the glue on the small pieces, so then I decided I would just put it on my main piece and then attach the little pieces to that, and that seemed to work better for me. So I enjoy paper layering. I feel like I'm getting better at it. It's been a while since I've done it, so I am out of practice, but I do feel like I have grown in this area. But I would love to hear if you have something that you struggle with, that you watch other people do and they're just seamless at it, and yet for you it's a struggle. So I want to move these stripe paper so that it's from top and bottom, so I'm going to do that here. And then I realized that I need to line it up somehow so that from the top to the bottom it's all looks like it's in a straight line. So there is a colored line that actually matches the color of the mat on my photo, and I'm using that to line that up to make that come down the page. And then here I'm thinking about pushing this polka dot piece in. I was looking at it, maybe I would use it as a background for journaling, and then I decided it was just too much. It wasn't gonna work with kind of the balance that I was going for. And so to maximize my one embellishment, because this is one embellishment, so I'm cutting it in half, and I'll get to use it in 2 different places so that I'm not adding up too many more points on this layout. And I thought this Bless the Nest title was perfect for these photos. This is something that, we had the Swiffer, and we obviously put it down so that our little one could help and have her own tool, because I think when you encourage kids, like for them that it's fun, they're working right alongside with you, then it's not as much of a chore. And yeah, it sometimes takes more work for the mom or the dad to make it done correctly the first few times, but after a while they get better, and then you reap the benefits of that. In fact, when our oldest went to college and, you know, living with boys was like, oh my gosh, they're slobs, and he was going down to the desk and checking out the vacuum and the mop bucket once a month and giving the bathroom a thorough clean because he couldn't stand it anymore. So these are all good learning lessons. So here's my gold thread, and I said just use gold thread for 2 points. I'm not counting it as separate embellishments. I am just counting it as 2 points. I'm using gold thread, and I can use it as many times as I want. So everybody gets to interpret that rule or guideline as they see fit. And I will remind you again, if you can give Kim some pointers of how she can maybe reduce her high score in her video, that would be really good. I can't wait to see what she did. And here again, I'm realizing that I want to add some more embellishments. So I am going to do a stitching technique, and I don't show you the stitching other than I poke the holes first, and then using that gold thread, I kind of mimicked the shape of the stamp for the Life's a Hoot. So here we go again. We have sewing, I have inked edges 2 different ways, I have a stencil, I realized, oh, I need more, so I grabbed some shimmer pen and I'm going to do some splattering. So that is all -5 points for showing different techniques. So I'm like, okay, so -5, but I've added the glacier cardstock, so that puts me at -4, and I have 9, I believe, pieces, or actually 8 that are on there now. I pulled 9, but I found when I was cleaning up my desk later that I had pulled some words off of the sticker sheet that I didn't end up using. So I'm adding this piece of gray cardstock because I thought I needed one more embellishment. But as I'm counting through them here, I'm realizing, oh, why can I add 4 pieces, 4 of these yellow enamel dots instead of just 3? Not complaining, haven't figured it out now, but I've been careful to count this out as to 1 stamp set, 2 pieces of cardstock, I used the gold thread, I showed 5 different techniques. So here I just am finishing out my layout with journaling. I know some people don't show this. I like to make sure to include it so that people can see that journaling really does help finalize a layout. Now be sure to go see what all the other Makers with Heart did with their Perfect 10 challenge. It'll be interesting to see how everybody interpreted it. I love this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think I might have to do it again with some cards or even just challenge myself. But in the description below, you will find all the links and a playlist. Have a great day. Be kind. Go tell Kim how she can reduce some of her